The life and death of Medgar Evers. On June 12, 1963, Medgar Evers, a black civil rights activist, came home a little after midnight from a late-night meeting. He pulled up to his driveway, got out of his car, and then he was shot in the back.
During his life, Evers was a man who fought for rights in the black community and had a great reputation worldwide. His actions even grabbed the attention of President John F. Kennedy, and the shock created by Evers' death inspired more Americans to continue his dream of equal rights.
Medgar Evers once said, "You can kill a man, but you can't kill an idea," and Evers fulfilled his words. John F. Kennedy was so inspired by Medgar Evers that he asked Congress to create an inclusive civil rights bill, which was passed in the following year by President Lyndon B. Johnson. This was known as the Civil Rights Act of 1964 that got rid of obstacles that African Americans had to face for voting, forbid segregation in public accommodations, structured the desegregation of public schools, and made it illegal for people to discriminate in the workplace. This act is a landmark piece of legislation that assisted the United States truly moving to equality.
Although Medgar Evers inspired an act of civil rights, he was not born in a place of great wealth and property. Evers was born in small-town Decatur, Mississippi on July 2, 1925. He grew up in a town full of whites that discriminated against African Americans, and after he graduated, he joined the military to fight in World War II. He was put into an all-African American unit and fought in Europe.
While in military service, Evers was unhappy with the discrimination of white units and black units, and during his tour of Europe, he saw a much more racially integrated society, which created hope in him for Mississippi and America.
After the war, he attended Acorn A&M College and majored in business administration. During that time, he became involved in an association for black rights and equality called the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. After finishing college, he got a job as a sales agent at an African American-owned life insurance agency and was assigned to rural areas where blacks lived. Evers was shocked by living conditions and poverty in the rural areas, as well as attempts at lynching. As a result, Evers immediately quit his job and joined the NAACP full-time.
While working for the NAACP, Evers contributed by recruiting new members, collecting dues, and setting up chapters. His greatest contributions were detailed reports of lynching, beatings, and other race-related atrocities.
In addition to his reports, he actively encouraged more African Americans to vote, as well as petitioning for biracial committees to address social concerns, economic boycotts, and bailing out demonstrators arrested by the all-white police.
Medgar Evers was consistently discussing equality between races. He said, "The gifts of God should be enjoyed by all citizens in Mississippi." His actions got the attention of the Ku Klux Klan, and he became a target for other white supremacist groups. His name was even featured on a death list white supremacists made.
Then, on June 12, 1963, Medgar Evers arrived home a little after midnight from a meeting. He pulled up to his driveway, got out of his car, and was shot in the back. The suspect of his murder was Byron de la Beckwith from the Ku Klux Klan. A gun was found 150 feet from the crime scene with his fingerprints on it, and it was the gun used to kill Evers. Beckwith was also seen by numerous people in the neighborhood that night.
Brian de la Beckwith was on trial 3 times. The first 2 were in the first 2 years after the assassination of Medgar Evers. Both times, Beckwith was found not guilty by the white court. The third time he was put on trial was in 1994, 38 years after Evers' death. Beckwith was found guilty of the murder by a half-white, half-African-American court and was sentenced to life in prison. He died in prison in 2001.
Despite his death, Medgar Evers' actions against the discrimination of blacks and the overall equality between races had started a great civil rights movement that continues to affect society today.